Hello, hello, Edson Oliveira here. This is the fourth DNN Summit 2019 talk, and I have a crowded group here with me, which I love, and we're gonna go around talking to each one of you guys. Between all of you, we have 8 sessions, so we have a lot to talk about. I'm gonna start with the duo, the amazing duo, Tracy with Keller and Alessandra Davis. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
If I can start asking, Tracy, can you introduce yourself, and then Alessandra, introduce yourself as well?
Yep. So Tracy Keller, I've been using DNN since its inception. Pretty much everyone knows me, I think, or at least who I am. My company's T-Works. We developed kind of a name going way back for theming, but we do all kinds of other stuff now. Like I said, I've been using DNN since its inception, so I've been in the community a long time. Go to all the events, which is actually a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to the summit in February.
Alessandra?
Okay, I work with DNN, Alessandra Davis. I work with DNN since DNN 4, let's just put it like that. I don't remember the year, when I was in England. And start working on T-Works, 4 years ago? 5? I don't even know. I can't look at this man anymore. It's like, enough of you. So I'm really looking forward to the DNN Summit as well, because it's like I get to talk to people. Working from home is good, but it's also, there's no banter. So it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, seeing people face to face that you kind of Skype with all the time is kind of cool. So
it is. Alessandra, and the code name is DNN?
Yeah, DNN Diva. Mr. Poindexter bestowed Viva Poem on the DNN Con 2013, I think. And I kind of like, okay, I'll have that.
It's stuck, yeah.
Great. Guys, so between the two of you, you have one session, and one full day training. So let's talk a little bit about the full day training. So the full day training is about Evoq and liquid content, correct? Tracy, can you unpack on the full day?
Yeah, right. So basically it's an overview of how to use liquid content from the ground up. So as part of the training, we're gonna kind of give users a kind of a complete tour of Evoq and liquid content. And then we're gonna show how to create content using regular modules like HTML module versus liquid content, so people understand the difference in what an advantage liquid content is to, how you add content with typical modules in DNN. And then we're going to have some live examples and get people to have some fun hands-on with us while we, help them through. So should be kind of fun. Alessandra, got anything to add there?
Yes, Tracy will be there, just look pretty and talk well, and I'll teach people how to do stuff.
See, let me ask you this, Alessandra. Tell me who really put things together for those presentations. Tell me.
I had to teach him the Evoq for his last session. I go like, Alessandra, you have to teach me that. I'm like, I need teaching people. Okay, so I think, I have to do this, and that. Like, so pretty much, I am the wind beneath his wings.
She's the wizard behind the curtain. Yeah, actually.
Exactly.
I actually
stop it, dance.
Right. But I got Alessandra out of her comfort zone because she's not used to doing videos, right?
I hate it.
So as some of you know, we've been building DNN Training Academy, right? It's a kind of an online training program with tons of videos, and so I did a lot of them. But with the liquid content stuff and some other theming stuff, I asked Alessandra to help me there. So she's done a lot of those videos. And at first, it was kind of a struggle because, again, that was really outside of her comfort zone. But once she got a couple under her belt, she's like a machine now. So
I found it very natural.
Yeah, almost like you know what you're doing. Yeah.
So you're saying that Alessandra doesn't like talking too much?
Not to the camera on my face, no.
I won't go that far. We all know different.
We know better.
Yeah.
Okay. You should see my other hand right now.
We come back to you guys in a second. Matt Rutledge. Man,
Rutledge, yes.
Rutledge. Okay, sorry about that. So you have one session, Matt, Rapid DNN Extension Development. Yo. So with developers, I usually like to ask this question to get things started, because I know there are so many different ways to put together modules and extensions in DNN that I like to hear what's your module or your DNN development recipe. What's your recipe? What are the components that you use to put together DNN modules?
It depends what I'm doing, but recently I've been doing a lot of React. So I use this tool I developed called Generator DNN. It's a Yeoman generator. Yeoman's a project scaffolder, pretty much. And so you go on and you type in Yo DNN, and it asks you a bunch of questions. So it's very interactive. It goes, hey, do you want to set up a MVC module, a React module, a persona bar module? And you pick one, and then it asks you some more questions. Going, okay, what's the company name, the module name? But then it says, all right, if you're going to use React, you want to use TypeScript or regular JSX or less or Sass or, so it goes through, and based on your choices, it scaffolds out a project for you. And then you can just dive in and start doing the code. So it also generates everything in the DNN manifest file for that module, and has everything already ready to go for packaging. And it all runs off of the command line. And so you don't even need Visual Studio. I develop most of my modules on my Mac in VS Code. And so I still need a virtual machine to run the DNN website, but I can develop all my modules on my Mac. And as soon as I make a change, it hot reloads and puts it into the DNN instance, so I can see like my HTML or front end changes very quickly.
So let me ask you this: you have built this tool, scripting tool, for your own use, or it was already with the intent of sharing with the community? How this came about,
Yeah, so when ESW, bought DNN Corp, and they merged, they formed the technology groups, the dev group and the technology group and the awareness group. They formed all those groups. And I contacted Clint and Clint Patterson and said, hey, I want to be a member of the developer and the technology awareness group. I think I can have some input there or help out. And at first I didn't know what to expect. I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to listen to what's going on and see if I can jump in anywhere. And I was talking with Peter Donker, who runs the developers group. And he said, I've been working on this thing previously where it would help generate some React modules. He's like, but it's not, ready to go. And we need something out there to make things a little easier. We want to onboard developers easier. We're going to just have general tooling so they don't have to dig through a bunch of documentation and figure out, I've got to download these third-party extensions for Visual Studio and try to figure out a project and all the files. And so I said, well, I think I can take that on. And so I jumped in and did that, and really started doing it for the community. And then now I use the tool every time I'm getting ready to spin up a module. And we've had some great help. Andrew Heffling and David Poindexter and Will Stroll, they've all committed to the project. And so it's been great.
Awesome. I'll come back to you in a second. Let me keep moving here so we can go full circle in a bit. David, I'm going to jump to you. Joe, I'm going to leave you for last in the first cycle here. But David, again, intro. Who are you? Who the hell are you?
David who?
Exactly. I am David Who, and I'm David Poindexter. Run Envisionative, which is a creative marketing and app development company, both mobile and web and desktop, and pretty much any kind of app you could come up with. Do that here. Been in the DNN community since DNN V-1.
V-1.
Care to understand that? Well, I was actually developing iBuySpy portal modules back when it first came out. And so, yeah, I've been in the community quite a while and followed Tracy's coattails there as he made noise with themings there. So, but yeah, happy to be a presenter again this year at DNN Summit. And thanks for having me on here.
I'm going to start with, really a personal curiosity about yourself is, how do you find time to run an organization like the one that you run, an agency like the one that you run, and at the same time, participate in so many initiatives in the community? How do you reconcile that? How do you manage that?
I chose the blue pill instead of the red pill. So, oh, the other blue pill. I'm talking about from the Matrix.
Okay. Yeah, I know the reference.
No, it's it really, it has to be in your blood, to want to be part of community, to give back, and it's just part of my DNA. So I kind of center a lot of stuff around that. So leveraging things that you do in the community to help your own organization. So, we dog food a lot of what we develop for the community, just like Matt was talking earlier. He uses his Yeoman, I don't know how he pronounces it, but Yeoman scaffolding tool, he uses it all the time. Well, we use NV QuickSight all the time. We use NV Quick Theme all the time. They're tools that we develop for the community, but we reap the benefit of those as well internally. So it's just all circle of life kind of thing, So, yep, it's not really about creating more time. It's just finding a way to do both, and they benefit each other.
Got it. Yeah, I got your point there. It's really, again, eating your own dog food, because you're building this to benefit yourself as well. So again, you are using your time very wisely there. As I asked Matt, I'm gonna ask you the same thing, David. What's your module recipe at this point in time?
Oh man, module recipe? Yeah.
In general.
Kind of all over the place, honestly. We use Matt's tool quite a bit to scaffold out quick thing. It really just depends on the pattern that we're developing for. We have our own kind of forms-based pattern that we've used for years. And we're developing our own little starter projects for persona bar extensions as well. So it really just kind of depends on which kind of module you really mean as to what our recipe is for these days. But a lot of the tech that we're using, we lean more towards the Angular side of things, although I've got suckered into a bunch of React work recently. So thanks, Matt. Appreciate that.
You brought a good point there about a persona bar. Two of your sessions, they are about persona bar, and about persona bar without React. So the question is, why that reaction to React?
Well, so I think when DNN Corp first announced the persona bar and rolled it into 9, right? I don't think it was intentional. It's just that I think most people thought, because of the way things were messaged and all that you had to do extensions in React, because the persona bar extensions that are built in to the persona bar, as we know it in DNN, are built on React. And they developed this common, library of reusable components. And maybe that is the quickest path, but like in my world, that was not the quickest path. So for me, I wanted to use the frameworks that I am comfortable with, being Angular and Vue.js and that kind of thing. So it would be a whole lot quicker if I could do that. Once I realized that you could do any framework you wanted to really within Persona Bar, a light bulb came on for me, and I just want to kind of help share that with the community, because I think it's a little known secret, I guess, at this point still.
Got it. Okay, so I just want to quickly mention, because I didn't mention that at the beginning, you have 4 sessions, and again, 2 of them about Persona Bar, 1 more geared towards the community, and another one here, let me see, about web components. You're gonna touch a little bit on each one, try as much as possible. Let me just ask you this about, again, 2 of them talking about Persona Bar, and you are going in a slightly different direction with your sessions. Instead of React, you're going to use some other, Angular. You mentioned Angular a few times, and Vue.js as well. Don't you think that, in general, and not in particular about your sessions, but as usual in DNN, there's no one single recipe for module development, or no one single recipe, and we are talking about Persona Bar, development. So shouldn't we be in the lookout for, what would be the starter kit or the starter way of creating a Persona Bar extension, a module, a skin, and trying to bring more standardized ways of how can someone get started with those? I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, because again, I just imagine someone new coming to the DNN ecosystem and seeing, where do I start here? And which technology should I be using here? Which direction should I go here? What's your thoughts about that in general, David?
Well, I mean, that's actually why I want to do these sessions, is to provide, there's quite a few examples out there, actually, if you dig deep enough to find other patterns for doing extensions in Persona Bar, for instance. But they're very complicated projects. They're full solutions of some thing that somebody was building, and they made it open source. So, those are great, but for the new person just now starting, it's just too much to digest. Really what I want to focus on is, okay, if you want to use Angular 6 or whatever, or you want to use Vue.js 2, to start things out, here is the absolute minimum that you need to know in order to get started. And by the way, the rest of it is something you already know as a Vue developer or an Angular developer. You're really just building a Vue app or an Angular app or a React app or a non-framework at all JavaScript app. But you need to know how to load in those libraries and get it started. Then you're in your own world. So really that's why I want to do this, is to provide that bare minimum starting point so that you understand the fundamentals of how the Persona Bar extensions load up and go from there. So yeah, it's for that very reason. And then they can have some starter templates, if you will, to use.
And then again, it's up to you to decide if you go this route or that route once you have the fundamentals well covered, correct?
That is correct.
Awesome, awesome. And then jump to Joe. Joe, that's the first time that we speak, that we talk. I'm gonna see if I get your last name correct here. Joe Hoffman? Hoffman?
Yep.
Awesome,
yep,
awesome.
It.
So
you got it.
Let's start with your intro. Who you are, what you are doing here.
Sure. So my name is Joe Hoffman. I work at a company called ITX. We build digital products, digital experiences of all kinds for clients. And we've been using DNN for many years, at least 8 years when I got here at ITX, which I believe was DNN 4 or 5. But it's really been an integral part of many of the products that we've built for some of our top clients. When I say top clients, I mean the ones that we really look at as partners. So, I'm excited to talk to everyone. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach with my talk, and it's going to be more about, DNN helps you build the right products. I'm going to build the product right. Sorry, DNN helps you build the product right. I'm going to talk about how to build the right products.
I like that. And actually, I found your topic very, very intriguing, to be honest with you. But let me start with Director of Product Innovation. What a director of product innovation does? What exactly do you do there?
Yeah, so in the traditional sense, it's really product management. What our team does here is we work with clients, and we practice Scrum here as our methodology. And typically, there's been a product owner role in Scrum for many years, but our clients didn't always have someone who could be that product owner on the product. So the way the group started was that we were a product owner by proxy, essentially, and we would fulfill that role for the client. And it evolved over the years where we put many other practices in place, around product management, with building user personas, coming up with key performance indicators for the clients, running various kinds of workshops, really digging more into user psychology and user behaviors and how to really dig in and empathize with those users. And so through that practice, we really built up this in product innovation group, because really what we are doing is product innovation. And we define innovation as really building brand advocates and finding new ways to add value through the products.
Got it. So in a way, if I get the point correctly, you become the client's advocate inside the organization, correct? You understand what they are trying to achieve, and you make sure that the team internally is delivering to those specs or to those expectations. Is that correct?
Yeah, you got it. So a lot of the times the clients, over time, they'll build up trust with us if it's a new relationship, and eventually they'll just start saying things like, oh, you decide, you pick what you want to do, I trust you, you know what's best for the user. And ultimately what we try to do is meld together what's best for the user, but then also for the business, because the business does need to see ROI at the end of the day. So we try to take all those concerns into account and make sure that our teams are motivated and really empathizing with who those users are at the end of the day.
So the title of your session is Software Innovation, Gain Trust, Earning Loyalty, and Triggering Advocacy. So again, just unpack, I guess you mentioned a few things already about, things that you're going to be covering there, but just unpack a little bit further as to why bring that to the DNN and to an event like DNN Summit. Why bring that in?
Yeah, so, a lot of times companies can really figure it out and find a product like DNN and be building the product right. It's technically sound, it's got great security, it's got great performance. At the end of the day, though, it needs to fill a need, it needs to perform a job to be done for a user. And so that's where I'm going to be talking about how do you actually build the right products? Because both are very important. You need to have the right product for the user, it fills a need, it solves a problem in the world, and then it's got to be built properly using a product like DNN, which we've used for years because it does fill that role. So what we're really going to break it down to is, through delivering hundreds, thousands of projects, we've looked across those for commonalities, and we've kind of boiled down to a formula of what do you really need? There's 4 key things that you need to build what we call product momentum to have a successful product, because products are really what we view, these digital experiences as nowadays. They're not projects where they have a start date and an end date. They are products that go on and live and need loving and caring and maintenance and support, throughout their life cycle so that they can survive in the world.
And is DNN an integral part to how you deliver products to your clients, is it?
Absolutely, because what my team does is we evaluate, what's in the world already that we might be able to leverage to give these clients a starting point with their product. And many times we look at DNN and say it fills many of these needs that you're looking for, whether that's around login authentication, user permissions, all the modules from the community. We evaluate essentially what problems the client is trying to solve for their users. And then we look and many times download the modules and buy the modules on their behalf, install them, set them up, configure them, sometimes customize them, and even build our own for the clients. So DNN can be that platform for them, for the years ahead for what their product needs to be.
Got it. But again, as long as you're building the right thing for them, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Like
you got it both sides.
Okay. So we are done with our first go around. Let's let the second one now. I would like to focus on not your sessions in particular, but if you have gone to previous DNN summits or DNN events or DNN cons or DNN conferences or DNN World or however you call that get together, I'd like to talk a little bit about the human connection, the experiences, the good memories, the bad memories. Maybe there are some bad memories out there. The things that you can share with the rest of us and with whoever will be watching this, so they can know that, hey, it's not just about sessions, it's about, connections as well. And again, if you have, that's great. If you don't, that's fine as well. But I'm gonna start with you, Matt. Anything comes to mind when I say DNN Summit or a DNN event that maybe brings a smile to your face or something like that?
Yeah, I've been going, I think, for the past 3 years now. And the first time I went, I went through some training sessions. It was about a year after we started using DNN in Evoq here at work. And it just it opened my eyes going, oh crap, look at all this stuff I didn't know about. And then I was like, there was no way I was going to figure that out if I didn't go to one of those training sessions. And so that really helped me. And then I always think back to last year too, when Chris Hammond stood up and started asking about transferring over to .NET Core and all that, and the discussion that happened at the Q&A session. that was a lot of fun.
So I'm sensing a bit of a heated discussion. I was not there, so I mean, the way that David smiled there, you smiled there. What happened there? Tell us, just a little bit, a hint,
I think the question was posed, and then the room went nuts. There was a divide, right down the middle. Half the room was like, "Oh, that'd be great." Half the room was like, "You guys are insane."
Good one. Thank you for that. Actually, I changed the order a little bit. Tracy, I'm gonna get to you now.
There are definitely no shortage of opinions from people at the conferences when you go. But for me, it's about, all of us have colleagues that we work with, we Skype with, we post on Facebook, we message, we use Slack, but that's one thing, communicating with people on that level. But it's so much better when you can finally see those people and talk to people in person. You know what I mean? You're talking about connection. That's what creates that deeper connection for all of us. I've known David for a long time. We knew each other before we met, and after seeing David at a few conferences, and just having that deeper connection, it means a lot. And we know what each of our strengths are. So if we have something, if I have something that I need, I know that I can go to David with, and vice versa. That's why I love going to the conferences. Making those personal, deeper connections on a personal, face-to-face level makes a huge difference. And you realize when you go to these conferences that there's all these DNN-based products and modules and third-party stuff out there, and then you realize when you come to the conferences, they're actually people creating them. They don't just happen on their own. So when you meet those people that, I've known David for forever, so obviously we're familiar with each other, but some other people that Matt, I don't know if we've ever met. I don't remember, or Joe, but meeting you guys, seeing you guys, and talking at the conferences, it just it's cool. Develops that relationship deeper, and who knows what doors that can open for everyone. So just kind of cool. That's why I like the community-based stuff.
Awesome. Alessandra, how about yourself?
That's pretty much what he said there is talking to people. And as I say, it was really weird for me when I went 2013, was the last one that I could go to. And suddenly I was talking to avatars, and I'm like, how? He's an actual person. It's kind of you see the messages, but it's not the same thing. It's really weird. Expect a little avatar to go following the person around and the thing. It's good.
Wait, that was you? You did that?
You actually, that's a good thing. We should have little round things. People look, I don't really, instead of tag names, just a little, put a photo of your face like a carnival mask. Just so you remember me? Ah, okay. That is and actually really knowing other people and talking. At the time I was working at home, I didn't even have a cat back then. It was actually really nice to interact with other people. As I say, for me, the banter is what it's missing in life.
Awesome. David, come on, give me. I want to know that event or that thing that happened that you are ashamed of.
What stays in the summit? What happened in the summit?
Stays in the summit. Yeah. No, I think the first thing that comes to my mind, is last year at DNN Summit, Sean Walker's presentation, and the opening slide comes up. Everybody's anticipating what Sean has to say. We haven't heard from Sean too much. The very first slide is the Titanic. It was absolutely hilarious, but it was incredibly sad at the same time and embarrassing, right? It's like, yep, that is an accurate depiction of where we are. And, thinking back on that now over especially this last year, we've come a long way. That would not be an accurate picture anymore. And so it was a very memorable moment, both funny and embarrassing at the same time.
Awesome. I agree 100%. Joe, I don't know if you, as I mentioned before, we hadn't had a chance to speak in the past. Have you been to other events? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, last year, I'm a bit of a newbie, but last year was my new one, or my first event in Denver, and it was a special one. We actually attended with one of our clients that uses DNN, and we were able to sit with them in some of the sessions and learn about the future of the platform and how to better use it. And we were able to talk to them about what's in our roadmap right now and how we can maybe change that or update it based on what we learned at the session. And then memorable wise, I met Jason Stone from Engage at one of the happy hours, and he was just trying to convince me everything in the world is a list. Everything's a list. Modules are lists. Databases are lists. Websites are lists. Mobile apps are lists. Everything's a list, and I'm going to solve this problem, and I'm going to make the best tool for lists. And I was like, okay, man, yeah, you go do that. Let me know how that goes. Give me a list.
It's funny you say that. There's that saying that for, I'm going to bastardize, but for
you can do it.
Everything is a nail. No, for
when you have a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yes, if you have a hammer, everything is seen as a nail. So you see that all over again. So it's a good fit on that one. Thank you for sharing that story, Joe. Okay, let's go around once again. I'm gonna ask for the one thing here. I really like to make clear to people, and I hope that people make that clear to whoever they are trying to talk to their audience. What are you trying them to get out of your session, get out of your talk, get out of your training? So I'm going to start with David. David, you have so many here. I'm going to be jumping around and going back and forth with you here. Let's start with web components, fundamentals, and authoring. What would you like people to get out of that session?
I think the technical takeaway is that this is the whole new world for us, and things are shifting this way. Framework agnostic development, not managing all these crazy dependencies and all that, and also super performant and ready for the mobile experience. So I'd like for them to, that's a lot, but I'd like for them to take away that there's new stuff they need to be aware of that's built right into your browser, and you can leverage that even in DNN.
Got it. I'm gonna have do a segue on that one here. I've watched a presentation that you have done about that topic, and I found it very, very interesting. I'm curious to know how often are you using that on your day-to-day development?
It's a good question. Not a whole lot in DNN yet, just because the path hasn't really been laid for that in a lot of places. Although I will say in some of the persona bar stuff, I'm going to be working in a little bit of web components into that. They could be used, but in our everyday, I'm using it more on the mobile development side of things. We use Ionic framework quite a bit for mobile app development, and Ionic 4, which is just hitting release candidate today. All of the components there are pure web components. All of the controls and things like that are that. So been seeing a lot of that there.
Awesome. I'll come back to you in a second. Matt, your session is Rapid DNN Extension Development. Yo, what is it, the one thing from that session?
I think it's easy to get started. It's easy to get started doing a module development. You don't need a whole bunch of special tools to do it. Like if you have a command line and a text editor, you can pretty much make a module. And then a deeper thing would be that DNN is so extensible. If you can get anything down to like an HTML or JavaScript level, you can use it.
Got it. What types of extensions can that the generator DNN create? What types?
So you create any MVC. So MVC, any HTML module. So, and that could be anything from React, Vue, Angular, any of those. Right now, the tool just scaffolds out a React project for you. And then any persona bar. So.
Awesome. I'm gonna go here to Tracy. Tracy, I'm gonna get the first one for you, and then the next session I'll ask Alessandra. So Tracy, for the full day training, I mean, there might be a lot of things that you want people to get out of that full day training, but again, try to wrap that up in one thing,
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. So much like my other session, into the first glance on the liquid content, I just want to turn a light bulb on for people to let them know that there's a better way to do DNN and better way to create content and build your pages in DNN instead of just relying on the same, simple DNN modular approach. Because, historically, we've had a lot of clients that came to us and said, look, we have a DNN site, but we can't make it look the way we want it to look. So can you guys help us there? So, and a lot of times, we have to use the HTML module extensively to build some custom look and feel stuff in the past, and along with some other core modules, because they want to keep it simple. They want to use all the DNN core modules to make it easy for their admins on from their end. And so nothing blows up in the future should they upgrade, blah, blah, blah. So as a means to customizing the look and feel of stuff, I just want people to know that liquid content makes things a lot easier, and it makes it a lot easier to control your content from one page to the next. Where you might have, I always use like a case studies as a perfect example. Like a full case studies page might have some text, some images, and a video maybe. So using liquid content, you can decide, you can build out all those components, and on page A, just show the images. On page B, just show some intro text that links to the case study. On page C, maybe just show a video. And then on page D, you show all of the full case study using the same exact components that you build one time, and you just change the look and feel of and decide what you wanted to spend on each of those pages using different visualizers where you just kind of control what is displayed where. So that's really what I want to do. I want to turn a light bulb on for people that liquid content makes things a lot easier, especially if you're from corporate management or marketing teams. They don't necessarily have to worry about coding, So pretty cool.
Got it. But again, as we know, at least so far, liquid content is only available in the Evoq product, correct?
Right, content and engage, right, yeah.
Got it. So if we extrapolate the concept, the structured content concept beyond Evoq into the DNN platform, what is usually your go-to product going to the core DNN platform for structured content?
Well, one of the tools that we use is the Easy DNN News module because it's so templatable.
Okay.
Yes.
That a lot for a lot of different things.
I was expecting something like, too sexy content or open content, but yeah, okay, good one.
Honestly, we don't have that much experience with too sexy or open content, although we know it's similar to Evoq. I know too sexy content, I think, is more developer centric to be able to do some of the same things and maybe even more flexible things, but I think open content is more along the lines of liquid content or Evoq, but to us,
much simplified version of a liquid content, I would say.
Yeah, right. Like for me, I'm kind of like the epitome of an end marketing department user, because I'm not a heavy coder like the rest of the people on this call. I'm just not. I never wanted to be. I don't have the patience for it. So I just want something that's going to allow me to build my content pages easily, and I found. Liquid content has let me do that across the board. It's been great.
Got it. Okay, I'm going to skip to David again. David, let's go to extending the DNN persona bar without React. What is one thing there?
I tell you what, I can help you here. I'm going to do both of the next two together. That one and, well, also the co-session with Jay Mathis there, which is similar. And then also the Discovering the Greater DNN Open Source Community. I'm going to lump those together because it's the same takeaway. You can do it is the takeaway, because there's so much out there. If you get the fundamentals or you get a starting place to understand it, the world is your oyster. You know, you can do it. You can take that, build upon it, make what you need, be that a commercial product or an open source product or something just for your company to use. You can find starting places out there very quickly.
Got it. May I ask you this? What other NV quick goodies do you have in store for us for 2019?
Well, I think you can continue to see NV Quick components, which is based on web components. I think that'll grow throughout 2019 as we mature in that world. NV Quick Persona Bar will be a little bit more mature by the time we get to DNN Summit. So you can expect to have some nice starting templates there, or for lack of a better term, some starter projects there. And yeah, I think NV Quick Pulse will probably get a little further along as we get into 2019. Got some great ideas brewing there.
Are we going to have an app for the DNN Summit?
Yes, and actually Andrew Heffling is leading that charge. He and I are working together on it, but he is the lead on that. The app has been refactored essentially to not use Ionic, which I used in the past for the DNN Summit apps. We're actually using Xamarin. So yeah, it's been a great experience. I learned a lot about Xamarin and why I don't want to use it. But yeah, no, I'm just kidding. It's a great platform. Andrew definitely knows this stuff. No, I'm sort of not kidding.
You should not say that about a Microsoft.
No,
a Microsoft. It's Microsoft, really. Is it?
Yeah, really, it's great. It's different. You know, different needs met with Xamarin than Ionic. So.
Yeah, it's great. Different. Joe, I'd like to ask about software innovation again, gaining trust, earning loyalty, and triggering advocacy. What is the one thing you want people to get out of the session?
Yeah, so a lot of companies are looking for ROI at the end of the day with their products. And we believe that if you can build a brand advocate, the ROI will come with that. And brand advocates, really in short, are people who are out there in the world defending your brand and recommending your product, whether it's through referral, word of mouth. But you can't just build a brand advocate overnight. You first have to have users who are loyal and trust you. And what we're going to talk about is you can actually do all these things through your software experiences, through digital experiences. And I'm going to show you some different formulas and some different ways to be looking at that, making sure you're implementing ways to build trust and loyalty with your users, how to measure that, and then ultimately know if you have brand advocates out in the world.
And again, just to bring this to a little, so I can understand better. When you say users, do you actually mean the users of your clients in your case, isn't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the products we're building, they have an end user that the client, has a business for. We say the word user a lot. At the end of the day, they're people, they're humans, and that's how we like to think about, when we're building a software product. These are people in the world. They're not robots. They're not, corporate automatons. These are actually people building software for people. And so we need to connect with those people and actually build trust with them, so that they will use the products and then ultimately move them up to be loyal users and advocates who are actually out there talking about your products.
How do you build that trust, Joe? Is it talking to them? Is it listening to concerns, to problems? I mean, again, just unpack a little bit of the trust side. Sure. How do you gain that trust?
Yeah, sure. So there's really a few components to it. I'll give you a couple just to give a taste of what the talk will be. But really transparency, is one of those. So being very transparent about how your company may operate, how the product works, what's the secret sauce that people maybe are really afraid to give away sometimes. So just be really transparent about what you do well, what you don't do well. It's showing reputation in the world. So if you have, case studies, testimonials, putting those out there to build your reputation with users. And then there's, a few other ways you can do it too, that we're going to talk about. But ultimately, these are all different things that you can be looking at and saying, are we doing those with our product in any way, shape, or form? And even if we're not doing it with our product, are we doing that in some other way? Maybe if somebody calls in or writes to us, how are we building trust with our customers across the board?
Got it. Okay, awesome. Alessandra, I want to, we kind of jumble both, the full day training and the session together, but I want to have your take there. Between the session and the full day training, what is one thing that you personally hope that people get from the sessions?
Okay, I hope they get from the sessions and also the training, of course, is this. The first time I was shown liquid content, I was like, the possibilities. And there's even the stuff that's a little bit what I call under the hood, which is moduling, that you can use the data that you get from liquid content with modules rather than just make them look differently. And it's really the kind of wow, what is that I can do here? And most of all, avoid client sticky fingers that will break the HTML. So you're making it sticky finger proof. So I don't have to come back and fix it later.
I like that. Sticky finger proof. I like that.
Yeah, it's like kids. Kids have sticky fingers, so you have to be sticky finger proof. They go there, they make an effort to break it, and they cannot do it.
Awesome. Love that.
I want to use that phrase.
You can. Go ahead. Copyright given. What is the name of the MIT license? There you go.
Okay, good. Tracy, I'd like to ask you this. How is the DNN Training Academy? How's the reception to that training, to that product?
It's been great so far. We've got, we've got well over 100 videos in there right now. That covers anywhere from the persona bar to user management to page management to theming to localization to liquid content and on and on. So it's been really good so far. So I'm hoping. Well, I initially built it in a platform called ClickFunnels because it was just easier for me to do because I use ClickFunnels a lot, so I understand that platform really well. So I put together something really fast, put it out there. People liked it, but it was kind of limiting. So I've been working on moving everything over into Kajabi, which is a better learning platform, let's call it. And we're almost ready to launch. We'll definitely have it relaunched before the summit, which I'm really excited about, with a lot of new videos and some other features that platform provides for us to add more value to the people that are actually going through the training. So yeah, it's been great so far.
Very good, very good. Guys and ladies, I'd like to wrap things up. Is there anything else that you feel that was not mentioned here that you want to make sure that it gets mentioned before we say our goodbyes? Anybody?
Is that real brick behind you?
Free to buy me a coffee on the summit?
Okay. Joe, you said something?
Is that real brick behind you?
Oh, you know what? The answer to that question, you have to come here and visit me and look around. Then you're gonna see. So I reserve.
And then everybody goes there. What do you do?
the pleasure of seeing what this is. It might be a green screen, It might be a green screen. No, it's not. It's not green screen. Yeah, so if you come by Toronto, I'll give you my address. Drop by anytime and you can see what's going on here.
Right across the lake.
Guys, again, thank you very much. Thanks so much for being here. This was the fourth one. I have a last one tomorrow. It was great. Hope you guys have a great time during DNN Summit 2019. See you soon. Bye.